So you're in debt after film school, and you don't want to get a stuffy corporate 9-to-5 job, but also think that freelancing is too risky. Well, I got a solution for you. Straight up, find a flexible enough part-time job and freelance on the side until you no longer need that part-time job. And why am I so confident in saying that? Well, I graduated from film school 6 years ago, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And I promise you when I say, I wish I would have done this in the first place. But I'll elaborate more on that later. First, I want to talk about what I actually did right after film school. I personally graduated film school with a bunch of student debt, like many of us do. So that's what deterred me from jumping straight into the freelance filmmaking world, where I just didn't know if I could handle that much risk. So what did I do instead? Got a stuffy corporate 9-to-5 job. I actually held 2 different positions in my time in the corporate world, both in which I was producing in-house video content for companies. And I don't completely regret it, if I'm being honest, because over the span of 4 years, I was able to pay off most of my student debt. I'll be honest, I'm still waiting on Joe to forgive the rest, but I digress. I also did learn a lot. However, there definitely was a cap on my learning. For most of the time, I was just shooting fairly low budget, again, internal video content for these companies. So yeah, there was definitely just a cap on how much I could learn. My first corporate job did allow me to travel to a couple new cities, which was really, really cool. So that was also a perk of being in the corporate world for a little bit, because, well, these companies do have money for that kind of stuff. I also realized how much I really enjoyed using the camera and being able to light in different scenarios. I personally mostly wrote and directed in my time in film school, so truly I never really touched a camera in school. So working at these corporate jobs was kind of like my boot camp on how to actually use a camera and light interviews and all of that. And yeah, I mean, I typically was a one-woman show, one-woman crew, so I learned a lot in my 4 years being an in-house video producer for these corporations. However, I just didn't go to film school to make corporate videos. Like, let's be honest, most of us go to film school to make films. So that's why I eventually left, because I know that being in the corporate world was ultimately not my dream, even if it did pay well and I had the salary right. I won't go into too much detail about how and why I finally left my corporate job. I actually already made a video about that story, so if you feel inclined to watch it, I'll link it up one of these corners. But basically, I quit my full-time corporate job as a corporate videographer in November of 2021 to pursue freelance filmmaking full-time. And it was rough. I'm not gonna lie, it was really, really rough, you guys. Long story short, I wasn't prepared to make that jump, both financially and just client-wise. So eventually, I did get a part-time job, so I could at least know that money was coming in as I built up my freelance opportunities and as a filmmaker. And well, that brings us to where I am today. So yeah, that brings me back to the point I made at the beginning of this video. If you're in debt after film school, then I highly suggest you find a flexible enough part-time job while you work towards being able to freelance full-time. Again, if that's something that you want for yourself. The beauty of having a part-time job while you freelance is that with that little predictable income, you not only have a little bit more flexibility, you can also take on a little bit more risk while not getting too complacent. And that's exactly like where I'm at and like the balance that I need, because when I was at my full-time jobs in the corporate world, I had a salary. I was getting paid every week, and for one, not only did I not have time to do freelance gigs. I mean, I probably could have, I'll be honest, but was it really that much time? I only really had weekends and maybe evenings to pursue those things. And I'll be honest, like if you've worked a full-time job, it takes a lot out of you, and those of you who can do both at the same time, like all the power to you. But we all know it takes a lot out of a person. And well, again, going back to this idea of complacency, since I had that paycheck coming in every week, I was complacent. So I stopped kind of working and grinding towards what I actually wanted for myself, and that is, again, to be a career filmmaker. At the end of the day, it's all about finding the right balance for you. I personally am in a really good situation at the moment, at least in my opinion. The part-time job that I currently hold is actually at a photo studio. So it is, you know, creative, and it's adjacent to like what I want to do. And I think the best part of this part-time job is that, for one, it's flexible, and two, my coworkers understand the grind because they are creatives in their own right. And, you know, I don't have to hide the fact that I'm working towards this dream to be a filmmaker, to be a cinematographer. And, you know, I obviously have income coming in, and when I'm not at the photo studio, I'm working on my freelance opportunities. I'm working on short films. These are passion projects that I'm working on with friends, and pretty soon here I hope to be making spec work, because my portfolio really is not where I want it to be, at least in terms of the work that I hope to produce and get paid to make at some point. So that's what I'm working on when I'm not at my part-time job. And I really can't stress this enough. It's all about finding the right balance for yourself. You know, this is gonna look different for you if you do have people that are depending on you, kids, you know, a family and what have you. I personally am a single person and no one's depending on me for survival, so I can take on a little bit more risk, but at the same time, like, going full-time freelance without having like any, like, for one, I didn't have enough savings, and I did not really have any like prospects or leads or clients, was not like my smartest move in the world. So, you know, kind of reeling it back, getting this part-time job, and now finding the balance and working my way up, while again having at least a little bit of a cushion financially, is very helpful. And as I said, it definitely is making sure that I'm not getting complacent, because though money is coming in, it's definitely not enough to cover everything. So all that to say, again, find the right balance for you. If you are in debt, if you just graduated and you have all this debt and it's overwhelming, know that it's totally okay if you take on a full-time job, whether it is video related or not. There's nothing wrong with that. As I said, I did it and I don't completely regret it, but I know that I probably stayed a little bit longer than I needed to. And so the only thing I'm gonna say to that is, if you're going to get a full-time job, either try to carve out some time to freelance or continue making your own work, or at the very least let your time at that full-time job be temporary. Have kind of an exit plan. We can talk about that another day. No matter what, don't let anything get in the way of making your films and get in the way of your dream of being a filmmaker, because it totally is possible. Just know that it may look a lot different than maybe I think a lot of people sell it or make it look like it. It is a lot of hard work. It is kind of a juggling act in many respects, but you can make it happen. And, you know, I'm obviously still figuring it out. And the truth is, even the people that you look up to are still figuring it out. And you know what? We'll all figure it out together. If you made it to the end of this video, know that I really appreciate you. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Marissa Roxas, and I'm a cinematographer based in San Diego, California. If you're someone who also wants to go from surviving to thriving filmmaker, just like me, then you are in the right place, and I'm happy to have you here. So thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.